Hey there, YouTube land, and tonight I'm doing actually a request video. It was requested actually by a couple people, but basically to do a animated version of my 72 top movies that influenced my life. So I didn't put a number on this one. I just grabbed all the cartoons that I watched when I was a kid, pretty much up till high school time came around. No, well, not high school time, but when high school ended, type of thing. Now, here's the thing. You're going to see some stuff that you're going to expect on the list that isn't here. Uh, Dragon Ball, which I'm a huge fan of, started in 86. However, I didn't watch Dragon Ball in 86. My better half, she got Dragon Ball over where she was from back then when it first came out. I didn't. Shows like Teenage Ninja Turtles actually came on when, and this is going to show my age, when I was in college. I was in college when the Turtles came out. I was a huge fan of it. I watched it every Saturday. But a lot of shows like that came on later on. Batman the Animated Series was a series that came out when I was in college. There was Spider-Man. Actually, the animated series came on when my out the year, I think it was the year around that my son was born. So a lot of the classic shows were ones that I didn't I didn't get to see. Well, I got to see them. I just got to see them when I was older. And actually, I'll be honest, in some cases, I really wished I'd seen them when I was younger. And in other cases, with shows like Batman and Justice League, I was actually glad that I saw them when I did because I could kind of get them on different levels that I wouldn't have gotten them on as a child. But still, I kind of wonder how cool it would be to actually have seen some of those shows when I was really, really young. So that disclaimer aside, we're going to get into the videos that I actually did watch when I was a kid. Some are from my childhood and some aren't. Now, before I go right into it, I'm going to list off a couple things that I'm not going to grab out because they're parts of my Disney Treasures collection, and I've showed that video recently. But as a kid, one of the most influential cartoons that I used to watch, and that I got to say influenced the type of humor that I ended up having, was a lot of the Disney cartoons, especially the Goofy stuff. As much as I loved the Mickey stuff, which was fun and light, and I loved the Donald stuff because that was just hilarious, and Pluto, Goofy probably was the one that got me the most. Just like those Pete Smith shorts that used to come on back in the day. Goofy really, really, the sports Goofy cartoons, Goofy just the businessman, like everyday man Goofy, they really got me when I was a kid. I really found them funny, and to this day, I think they're some of the ones that hold up better than any of the other cartoons, even when they seem kind of dated because of the scenario that they're put in, the rat race and stuff like that. Today, driving in your car and getting to work and slowly inching along is just as relevant today as it was back then. Sadly true. So, and there's also a few that I don't have here. One of my favorite cartoons of all time, bar none, that I would watch over and over again was the Jetsons. For some odd reason, I don't own any Jetsons at all. That was actually one of my favorites. Another one that I used to watch more than I can even imagine was Mr. Magoo. And for some reason, I don't own, actually, I know the reason I own Mr. Magoo, because the store that Mr. Magoo was in and I was going to buy it in, they stopped carrying movies. I think I've got like a woolly in my hair and it's driving me at the wall. All right. Okay, there we go. Don't have a lot of hair, one woolly. What's the odds on that one? Anyway, so here we go with some cartoons that are actually in my collection that I do watch when I was younger. And you know what? I'm a really big cartoon guy. I'm a cartoon freak. If you watch, everybody here that's watching this video, obviously you're watching this video because you watched cartoons as a kid and you watch them now probably as an adult. And if you didn't, where's your soul? Everybody loves this stuff. Maybe not the same stuff, but everybody has their shows that they watch. You may look over to, your better half or something like that, and they're like, no, I don't watch cartoons type thing. They're lying to you. They do watch cartoons. My better half, that's never going to be a question. She still to this day loves animated programming. Shows like hey, Thundercats with you, and what was the other ones? Thunder the Barbarians. But she, once she doesn't have yet, she really wants Thunder. I got to get you that one of these days. That's an amazing show. First up, has many different editions of it, but the original one is one that I did watch when I was younger. And by the power of Grayskull, Masters of the Universe. I have the power. I love that. Masters of the Universe was one of those shows that I really got into. I mean, like, and I was like, from '83 to '85, the original one came on. If I, if this second series didn't come out until 1990, so it just didn't make it into the list here. But the original, I hate the fact that this is the cameras are reversed like a mirror. Uh, this is a great set, and this was actually put. I think it was put up by Mill Creek, to be honest with you. Yeah, it was. This set here, this amazing looking set here, which has great stuff in it. It's got a soundtrack. It's got like a sword that actually is usable for He-Man figures. That's a okay. Watch this. Haha. Catching that woolly off of my hair is like there. That could be a Donald cartoon all in its own. Masters of the Universe. I totally got distracted. Love Masters of the Universe. Oh, did you watch Masters of the Universe?
Yes.
You're a big fan?
Yes.
This was a big one. I love Skeletor, and here's a guy that looks completely hideously horrible, and he is the biggest pussy of a villain when you really think about it. We'll get into another series that was spun off from Masters of the Universe. That's also on my list. But ironically, the creepy-looking villain was anything but creepy in the Masters of the Universe series. And if you've ever seen the He-Man She-Ra Christmas special, you've got to see the He-Man She-Ra Christmas special. Next up may hands down be the most influential cartoon in my collection. And yeah, it was probably. I watched this thing more than anything else. The fact that I watched giallos and slashers and murder mysteries and all that stuff really stems from this one cartoon. This cartoon that basically started it all. And I would have gotten away with it too if it wasn't for those damn kids and the meddling dog. That is Scooby-Doo, Where Are You? This is the original series. It comes in this is the original set. I have two of these actually. Very proud of that. So, there's such classic villains in this show. I mean, like, see if they have anything here that I want to show you guys. Like the Creeper and stuff like that. So many classic cartoons on here. What's your favorite? Do you have a favorite original? There's just so many good Scooby-Doo cartoons over the years. This is one of the...
Cartoon.
Pardon?
It's my comfort cartoon.
It is. It's a very good comfort cartoon, actually. There's many of these. There's Scooby-Doo. There was Where Are You Scooby-Doo? There's Scooby-Doo Scrappy Show, which I don't have, unfortunately. I gotta get that one. A lot of people rag on Scrappy, but I thought Scrappy was kind of fun. A little bit annoying, but I could deal with Scrappy. I'll have to take Scrappy over Jar Jar Binks any day of the week. Next up is one that's definitely not from my era, but it's ones that they would rerun over and over again when I was a kid. And that's the way they did it with a lot of the shows. A lot of the shows that I grew up watching in the in the 70s and 80s were basically shows that had been like theatrical cartoons back in the 30s and 40s, or had just been reran over and over again because they were cheap to get. And one of those was this amazing series here, Popeye. And by the way, if you do not own these Popeye the Sailor sets, own them. If you are a fan of animation at all, these things are amazing. I utterly adore. Honestly, I adore these Popeye sets. There are great features on these. The transfers are absolutely fantastic. I have to get, and I've give crap to Olive a lot, but I'm pretty sure it's Olive did a bunch of these.
Betty Boop.
Yeah, Betty Boop ones.
I want those.
I want those so bad. I do. I know. No features, but just amazingly Blu-ray cartoons. Yeah. She's drooling right now. She really is. But Popeye was also a big one for her as well. And, back in the day, you get a lot of these on VHS. You get like a VHS tape, and there'd be like 45 minutes to 60 minutes of cartoons. If you're lucky, you got 70. And they put a bunch of like these public access cartoons, crappy quality a lot of times, but you didn't care. This was like kind of your go-to. If you went into a video store and you were looking around and you found a cool cartoon video, you took it home and you watched it and you rewatched it and you rewatched it, and man, did I ever do that. I had my comic books, my cartoons, I got my cereal, my Count Chocula, which we can't get around here anymore. because limited time. Popeye, amazing. Next up is one that I watched on a daily basis. This cartoon show actually came on pretty much every day for my childhood when I was growing up. And I adored it. I really loved it. And again, these are cartoons that at the time were like theatrical shorts that were repackaged as actual cartoons. And this one here, back in the day, there's a store called Canadian Tire here in Canada. It's Canadian Tire, and basically it sells like tire stuff, electronics, like the not electronics like you think like in a Walmart or anything like that, but kind of like home hardware type of things. So they used to have a DVD section and a really good one. They have a lot of MGM stuff. They have a lot of like, and you find like sets there, like those old signature sets, and every once in a while you find a cartoon set. So this is volume 1. I'm still hunting in volume 2 because I had actually said I'm going to buy the second volume of this. I went out, and I swear to God, was it like a week later? We came back. All the movies had been removed from Canadian Tire, and he actually sold them off 2 days afterwards for dirt cheap. But that's the way it happens sometimes. But I'm so glad to have this set here. And it is Woody Woodpecker and Friends. I love Woody Woodpecker. I really love Chili Willy. He's very cool. Andy Panda. I don't know if you guys remember Woody Woodpecker. Good on you, because this is an amazing cartoon series. It's just really funny, and Woody's in your face. And he doesn't mind being in your face, and he doesn't mind being counterculture, and it's just a really cool cartoon. There's so much going on in a lot of these early cartoons that was so far advanced that you watch them today, and they really stand the test of time. There are a lot of cartoons now that are coming on at this moment. There's some great stuff. Adventure Time, Rick and Morty, great shows. But there are other shows that are not going to stand the test of time the same way that those do. Next up, this one is not even opened. My son has a complete collection, I think, of these here. I'm so jealous. And that is She-Ra, the Princess of Power. Now, She-Ra was actually a superior cartoon to He-Man and Masters of the Universe. Yeah, don't hate on me. It's actually true. All the mistakes that they had made in their earlier He-Man series, they were able to kind of like smooth out in She-Ra. And because She-Ra, it's odd to say, but because She-Ra was a female character, they actually got some darker stories in there. And I'm not quite sure how they did it, but it just was overall a better cartoon. And this guy here, although he doesn't look as cool as Skeletor, he's actually a bit more of a badass. But for me, it's still Skeletor. He's my fave. Next up is one that just barely made it, but because it was such an influential part of my youth, and by youth I mean Aaron's about to graduate high school in a year youth, was the Ruby Spears Superman series. I fell in love with this thing when this came out, and the coolest thing about it wasn't actually the Superman cartoons, although this was the first time you would see Lex Luthor playing kind of like the philanthropist, the billionaire, as opposed to the earlier stuff where basically he was a mad scientist type of thing. So this kind of started here with the Ruby Spears thing. But they had these like short, like 2-minute cartoons right at the end of it, and it was kind of like a family album of Superman, and it would go like from when he was a baby to like going up when he was in elementary school and then high school and just up through college. Really well done, and you could watch them all together as kind of like as one big episode type thing, and it was amazing. It was so cool. It was so inventive. Love the Superman series. It's probably my favorite of any Superman series, and that does include the 90s series, which I think probably did not do as well as, I know, it draws comparisons to Batman, and it's really hard to come out after Batman the Animated Series and really do as well. I think Superman did a good job, and I really do need to get that series down the road, the 90s series, but this is still my all-time favorite Superman series, starring Superman. When you think of cartoons that were so ahead of their time and so kind of adult and stuff like that, a lot of people forget this one because it spawned a pretty bad movie, at least one pretty bad movie for sure. That is Rocky and Bullwinkle and Friends. The Rocky and Bullwinkle cartoon was wild. As a kid, there's a lot of the jokes just flew over my head. A lot of the political stuff, the humor and satire and stuff like that, that I just wasn't getting. I was watching it for the kind of funny Rocky Bullwinkle type stuff that was in it, and if I caught some of the stuff that was above my head, that was like I felt really glad about it. But this year was a cartoon that came on long, long, long before I was even thought about. But luckily, thanks to reruns and this would show up usually on Sunday mornings. It's one of those Sunday morning cartoons, and one of those really early ones you'd get because they'd show on a lot of like stuff early in the mornings that people wouldn't normally watch. We had a cartoon here. It's not really a cartoon. It was on a channel called NTV, Newfoundland Television, and basically there's this character called Captain Newfoundland, and, and so basically what he would do is the dude that owned the station, I swear to God, must have done a lot of drugs, and you'd have this guy dressed in a Captain Newfoundland outfit, and did you ever see these when you came over here? And he would like fly over like superimposed stuff, and all these weird colors would play, and you have like all this like kind of music, like hippie-ish music, and kind of like all this kind of philosophy stuff would be in there. If you ever read the cartoon, the comic, it was stripped would be in like the in the TV guide. It was so out there. It was a complete stoner cartoon, and he like even later on when I remember being in like college and they'd be like playing that I want to go to India song. That was a song they would play for Captain Newfoundland. I want to go to India and do what they do. I can't sing it, but just YouTube. I want to go to India. And a picture a superhero kind of like flying around doing absolutely nothing, just being superimposed and with philosophical like statements and stuff coming on the television set. You had to do a lot of peyote to really watch that cartoon. Sorry, but side note. This is one that actually my sister, when she was really young, watched, and I was like, "Oh, I have to watch this," and it started out like this. Are you really gonna watch this, Ray? I don't want to watch this. To basically like, yeah. Well, I don't want to watch this. Don't you change that channel. That was kind of the truth, actually. I was a big kid. And it was Jem and the Holograms. They actually apparently made a very atrocious movie out of this, which I am not in the... Actually, I'm probably going to have to watch it with Matthew sometimes and review it. Or, wait a second. Did you watch Jem when you were young?
Yes.
Maybe you want to review Jem the movie?
No, because I'm going to hate it.
Yeah, that's probably gonna be true. So I'll have somebody here. Matthew, Cassandra, Kelly. Somebody's gonna review this movie with me because it's going to be atrociously bad. But the cartoon series is actually really cool. Yes, there are some like parts in it, like the Misfits singing that kind of hurts the ears. It really does, and I know they're supposed to, but oh my God, how did they get away with that? They basically tried to perform like Homicide on several occasions and just did really stuff that, like, I don't care if you're a rock group star or whatever. No, it's not. It doesn't fly. It doesn't work. But I guess it's a cartoon, so it does. Jem and the Holograms was basically a cartoon that shows you that no matter, you could be an orphan girl. If you have got a holographic version of yourself that's way prettier, you too can be a star. What a great message. But it was a great show. It was really fun. The music was fun. I remember my sister and her cousin, and my cousins basically had these Jem dolls, and they would come with these like each one would have like a song, like a musical thing. Okay, my leg's totally gonna sleep here, I guess. And they like have the song. It would be like some horrible song, but I'd be like, yeah, that's not bad. I would listen to it. Next up is another one from my childhood, and this one is actually from my better half's childhood as well. And that is Hong Kong Phooey. You had to love Hong Kong Phooey. It was voiced by Scatman Crothers, and he just, of course, so he had that raspy voice going on. You jump into the filing cabinet and jump out, and for some reason, they could not figure out that their mild-mannered gender was actually Hong Kong Phooey, and it was just a fun little show. He didn't really fight many actual like villains, mostly normal crooks, karate chopping crooks and stuff like that. But it was a really, really fun kind of cheesy Hanna-Barbera show. Hanna-Barbera was pretty much the way you think like Disney now. Hanna-Barbera was like the kings of Saturday morning television back in the day. If you were watching television, you were watching usually Hanna-Barbera. That was Saturday morning. When you weren't watching Hanna-Barbera, you were watching this, and that is Looney Tunes. In one form or another, you're watching Looney Tunes. Whether you're watching the Bugs Bunny and Roadrunner Hour, Looney Tunes, Merry Melodies, you were probably watching some Bugs Bunny. Stuff that was around when your grandparents were around, and still is just as funny or even this. It is amazing. If you watch these cartoons today, nothing is lost. They really are just that well done. I can't think of anything else that's. And by the way, as far as sets go, as far as I have a lot of sets. I have a lot of sets. But these may be some of my top prizes in my sets. The stuff that's on these, the features that are on these sets, are mind-blowingly awesome. I'll never get rid of my golden collection. I will definitely upgrade down the road to the platinums just to have the extra cartoons that are on the platinums, because they do have some extra cartoons on the platinum versions. But these are amazing. There are 6 golden collection sets. They span epic amount of cartoons. They're all uncensored. They have like documentaries, TV pilots, bumpers, just featurettes, and just an amazing treasure trove of stuff that you cannot even imagine. But set aside, Looney Tunes was one of my favorite cartoons shows. I love this, the Looney Tunes show. I think it was called the Bugs. They had the Bugs Bunny and Tweety Hour, Tweety Show, and there was like. But I think when I was younger, it was like the Bugs Bunny and Roadrunner, and it's pretty much the same thing with a different name on it. Except when I was really young, I had Speedy Gonzales, and all of a sudden he disappeared. For years, Speedy Gonzales disappeared. It was basically, there was like a whole thing, like it was Speedy Gonzales was considered like a racist character at the time, like a racist character.
Not racist. It was like it was portrayed,
no,
stereotypically portrayed.
Yeah, because he's a character of Mexican culture.
Yes.
That's what they thought. Now, see, here's the thing. So, in the 80s, Tipper Gore, yep, that's Al Gore's wife, went on a campaign to clean up cartoons, leaving us with the Smurfs and pretty much nothing else. When she took out all the violence, the cartoons, she took out Speedy Gonzales. Here's the thing. It was the actual Mexican culture themselves that said, why don't we have Speedy Gonzales anymore? They did not have a problem with it. They, in fact, lobbied for it to come back. And actually, one of my friends probably would have been a big fan. He's going to see Mad Max tomorrow. Action adventure cartoons. There were quite a few of them, but from my early years, there was one that really stood out. And that was Johnny Quest. It only actually lasted a season, 26 episodes, before you'd see like another season of it years down the road. But Ray Spannon, it was just really fun. And they make fun of it a lot now with Professor Quest. And they throw up the homoerotic thing with the 2 guys together. But it was a really fun show. And
we should have Sealab too.
we don't have the original Sealab. I wanted to get the original Sealab, and you're like, no, the new Sealab's ruined it for me.
It did.
But Johnny Quest was a really fun show. They were globe-trotting around the world, fighting all kinds of really cool things. Well, you know what we do need, too? We also need to get a Speed Racer. Speed Racer!
Yeah, I was never a big fan.
Racer X? Actually,
Yeah.
not. He was so cool looking. Racer X was so cool.
Looking at the animation is just absurd.
It is awesome.
It is absurd.
Speed Racer! Ha
And the goddamn monkey.
ha! Ha! Next up, and I gotta get the other one of this that I really need. Actually, Huckleberry Hound's the one I need. Huckleberry Hound was the very first cartoon that I saw when I was a kid. I don't have it.
Oh, my darling.
Oh my darling, Clementine. I used to watch that when I was a kid like crazy. my earliest memories is playing doctor with my neighbor girl and being called in to watch Huckleberry Hound show. I was about
That's way too much information that you're sharing. Right?
I was like 4 or 5. I don't think it was that intense. But anyway, Huckleberry Hound, great show. Don't have it. But I do have this one here. Another show that I used to watch, the Yogi Bear show. I love Yogi Bear, and I was always in a movie buddy, and I love Snagglepuss. And
My favorite.
the exit stage right there.
Yes.
And, yeah, he was just so cool. He was like the cow. He literally was. He was a cowardly lion, basically. When you think about it, he was so cool.
And by the way, you do a very good impersonation
Of Snagglepuss, and I can do it.
Snagglepuss and Yogi.
Yogi, yeah, I love Yogi. I even used to have that Yogi card, that live action movie was not very good, but we had a 3D TV at the time, and I think it came with it. We bought like this 3D package, and it came with like Yogi Bear and Yogi Bear, the 3D movie. By the way, great 3D. I miss my 3D TV so much. As much as I love the Jetsons, there was one cartoon series that beat it off me. She's not a fan. To this day, I think not being a fan of the show is almost like just kicking a baby, because it's just wrong. It's not. You shouldn't do it. You shouldn't not be a fan of the show. It's just one of the funniest shows, and how funny is it? It's so funny that cartoons and live action shows would and it pretty much ripped off live action itself, would be ripping it off still to this very, very day, actually. And that is the Flintstones. The Flintstones was an amazing series. Amazingly funny. Fred is kind of the lovable everyman. Barney Rubble is kind of like infallible next door neighbor. You had Wilma, who was kind of like the she was a good wife, but she was always trying to get away and do some kind of scheme from. And of course, you had Betty Rubble, who was super hot. And if you were a young boy, every young boy had a crush on Betty Rubble. She was there was something about Betty that just set your heart aflutter. Don't deny it. She's hot. Betty, I know. Rose O'Donnell in the movie. What the hell were they thinking? Not that there's anything wrong with Rose O'Donnell, it's just she doesn't exactly look like Betty Rubble. Jane Krakowski did actually a better job in that role, but nobody can beat the animated Betty Rubble, who for me was one of those. I need a moment for Betty.
She was the original MILF.
She was the original MILF. I love that line. Say, look, even though she doesn't like it, she will admit that Betty Rubble is the original MILF. I love that you said that.
I hate that I said that.
No, you don't. Another one of the Scooby cartoons that I really used to like and watch when I was younger was Scooby-Doo movies. Yeah, the new Scooby-Doo movies. Basically what they do is they take some character that was around at the time, that was kind of popular, or somebody that used to be popular a long time ago, and kind of bring it back. They did even though it was like years after Batman, the Batman series came out, because that was back in the 60s, way before I was born. They actually brought back Burt Ward and Adam West to be in these ones here. They had Jonathan Winters in a few of these. Dick Van Dyke, Don Knotts. They had I think Mamas and Papas, right? Because they had Mama, Cass Elliot. Yeah, I did that. Lauren Hardy. Just some classics mixed in with like a lot of the newer stuff around. Now this here's the new Scooby-Doo movies. Unfortunately, there are a few of the R-Line movies. I'd like to sign and share them, by the way, that didn't make it over because there were rights issues, which is a shame. So the only way to get them, unfortunately, are through sites that I shall not mention. But second this came on sale, I got it. Any Hanna-Barbera that I can get my hands on, I will get my hands on it. I love Hanna-Barbera cartoons, and it just fills me with absolute and utter joy. Hanna-Barbera, to my youth, is to what Mystery Science Theater was to my college years. He would later become a popular talk show host, but before that, Alex Toth created a fantastic design for a really great character that I really enjoyed. And I watched Space Ghost and Dino Boy. Uh, isn't that an awesome design? Really, it's seriously, just look at that. And look at us on the back there. The animation in this is incredible. Alex Toth actually did some stuff for X-Men as well. Just great, great stuff. I really love Space Ghost. I do have Space Ghost Coast to Coast, the series as well. The new, the kind of the live action kind of fun one. But this was just such amazing stuff. Donald Bob was like a really cool one as well. I used to love this one here. The one I don't have that I really need to get, I missed it. What?
We need Birdman.
Oh, we need the original Birdman, the Galaxy Trio. You mean? We got the Harvard Birdman series, the new one.
Yeah, no, talk
But
about
but the one that I want is the one that rings truest to me when I was a kid. The one I used to watch. The one that I would actually get up and get excited about. Scooby-Doo Dynamite Hour. I was a big fan of Dynamite. The Blue Falcon. It was so fun. It was so cool. It was so cheesy. But I loved it. And I mean, it just filled me with utter joy to watch those cartoons. I love Hanna-Barbera. I got to get back to getting into some of those. I really do like these here. And this is kind of my go-to thing. Often when Hin's away, or when aside from watching like kind of like the creepy stuff that I watch, I do actually take some of these cartoons and watch them. A lot of the Hanna-Barbera stuff I'll end up watching. A lot of the Looney Tunes stuff I watch over and over again. Just stuff that sticks with me. I've watched the Flintstones and Scooby-Doo ones and the Woody Woodpecker. I don't know how many times. Sometimes you just need to get that inner child in you before they start screaming. No. Wacky Races. Everybody's got to love Wacky Races. It mixed them all together. I mean, like, we got Dastardly and Muttley. We've got Penelope Pitstop. But I didn't watch those as much as I watched Wacky Races. She did. She watched them all. She was like a big fan of all of these. But I'm guessing more than likely she's a big fan of all these, watching them in reruns, probably on Boomerang or Cartoon Network. Me, when Wacky Races was coming on, I was watching it. So, yeah. I did love this one here. Just very cool. And there was another series, too, kind of like the Laugh Olympics. Oh, I love the Laugh Olympics. They're so good.
No, there's the one where they're flying.
That's the Dastardly Muttley and their flying, an amazing flying machine.
Yes.
We got that.
They're still racing. I know.
But a Laugh Olympics is so much fun.
Yeah, it's cool.
So I'm going to put these here back a bit so they don't fall down. And we're going to get on to the rest of the cartoon series that I really dig. This one here, I got to get the rest of these sets. I actually managed to find one. This is a redo of the set, kind of like in a different one. But I think it's one of the 60s ones or 70s. I'm not sure which. But it had a lot of cartoons I used to watch that they used to run when I was a kid. And I brought it here for a specific one, actually. And it's the 60s. Okay, so Saturday morning's kids' 60s favorites. The Quick Draw McGraw was one that I watched when I was a kid. And, the good, the bad, and the El Caban. I love the El Caban. El Caban! But things like Herculoids was a series that I would watch. And actually, Marine Boy would show up on my Saturday morning things. Even Miguel Gorilla, which was not one of my favorites, but I did actually watch it. I got to pick up a set down the road because I want to have all the Hanna-Barbera stuff that I watched when I was a kid.
Did you get my favorite Hanna-Barbera out?
Which one's your favorite? Is it from when I was a kid?
Or, yeah.
Oh, the shark? No, I didn't get that one. It's yours. Her favorite Hanna-Barbera show of all time was a animated shark called Jabberjaws, and he was.
Oh, respect.
That's the Jabberjaws guy. Jabberjaws was fun. He was kind of a pretty much Curly from the Three Stooges as a shark. It was hilarious. I loved it. 80s. So there's a few on this that I watched that I can tell you. So, was I a big fan of the Mr. T cartoon? No, not really. I can't actually say I was there pitying the fool that missed Mr. T. I was that fool that missed Mr. T cartoons. But there was a few on here that I did watch. I did watch Dragon's Lair, Galtar and the Golden Lance, Thundar the Barbarian. There's an episode of that on here. That's one you like, darling. The Flintstone Kids. I was really big on Flintstone Kids. And I love, like Captain Caveman. and son. That was just so good. And of course, I love the Ed Grimley show, if I must say so myself. It was really, really fun stuff. So if you've not seen that, you've got to see it. They also mentioned Biscuits and the Munchichis. I'm trying to forget Biscuits and Munchichis. Not a big fan. But can't miss out on Thunder. I don't have much of it here. Actually, I don't have any of it here, I don't think. But when I was a kid, when I was in about grade 7, I was up in Alberta, and I lived in Camrose, Alberta, and Wetaskiwin for a while. There, at that time, there was a group called Menudo that would come on as like a bumper in between shows. But what would come on at the time are like video games. This was like the height of like the video game popularity, the early video game popularity before the big crash, and it was called Saturday Supercade. And that was actually because they had like Pac-Man and you had like Donkey Kong and all these characters there. Q*bert was in it. Just really cool stuff. So if you've never seen it, it's really worth checking out. Rubik's The Amazing Cube would come on around that time. And it was pretty useless. He had all these magical powers, but all I had to do was like just slap him. And he'd like, oh no, all my colors are different. And if you didn't know how to like do the Rubik's Cube, you were screwed. I mean, like you could be there for days. You'd be like dead. You're like, I'm never going to get this thing done. We're stuck in the desert. Thundercats. I love Thundercats, and I'm lucky enough to be with someone that loved Thundercats as well. Thunder, 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 Thundercats. Who's your favorite Thundercat?
I don't really have a favorite.
You got to. Say him.
Oh, you can I throw up and see?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Yes, he was cool. Who does not love gigantic man cats that are that have huge swords and fight villains? It was a much darker show than actually it sounds right there. Now for the cartoon that made me quit the Boy Scouts. And I kid you not. Here's the thing: when I was a kid, there was no internet. There was no, hey, I've got a VCR or DVD player. Guess I can watch anything whenever I want to. No, basically it was this. Hey, something's coming on TV. Oh, I missed it. Oh, you're SOL. You're shit out of luck. That's the way it worked there. And that is the reason that I quit the Boy Scouts. I went to one Boy Scout meeting. One meeting. I had a blast. I came home, and I discovered that night was the night that they had chose that CBC, the Canada Broadcasting Network Corporation, had decided that, hey, we're going to run the Charlie Brown Christmas special. You have never seen a young elementary school boy swear so much in random succession as coming home and finding out that the Christmas special was just ending. Charlie Brown, which, as I watch these now, some of these are kind of depressing. I mean, if ever there was a kid that needed drugs, yes, yeah, Prozac would work. Yeah, needed Prozac to like really straighten out his life. Charlie Brown was that kid. Of all the Charlie Browns in the world, he was the Charlie Browniest. Still, I love these cartoons. Charlie Brown Christmas Special was a favorite of mine. It's a great. Pumpkin Charlie Brown was a great one. You're in Love Charlie Brown. These came out in the 60s, but they're still funny today. And I mean, I used to watch, like, there's a Saturday morning cartoon show that came on. I think it was back in the 80s, I think. They did like a Charlie Brown one. I grew up like watching a lot of these in the theater. I remember going to the theater and watching Race for Your Life, Charlie Brown, which was so fun. It's such a great movie. It was like this raft. They're like on that's a camping one, and I never got to go camping when I was a kid. Never got to go I got to go camping, but I never got to go to like a summer camp because being epileptic, my grandparents were very overprotective of me, and they wouldn't let me go to camps or do any of that type of stuff. So unfortunately, maybe it stopped me from getting killed by hockey masked killers and stuff like that. But it was a major downer on the fun level. So I never got to do it. The only camp experience I got was Friday the 13th films and Race for Your Life, Charlie Brown. And of course, Sleepaway Camp. And I think that would have been a horrible camping experience if I had gone through that. Because I would have been headless. Next up, Transformers. More than meets the eye. I love the Transformers. Still to this day, Transformers are fun, and you know what's really fun? One to grow on. I love those, and the more you know that, you know that does. I'm running away from home. Are you sure, Timmy? No. Uh, the Transformers was just a really cool show. There was another series that came out around the same time called the GoBots. Nobody remembers the GoBots. And if you've seen the animation, then you probably know why nobody remembers the GoBots. GoBots weren't actually that bad of a show, but as far as like design and coolness level goes, Transformers were way cooler. If you were a kid that was eagerly awaiting a Transformers toy, and your mom or nan or whatever came home and got you a cheap ass looking GoBot, the levels of disappointment cannot be like measured on a human scale. I remember one of my friends actually. He was so excited. He was getting a Transformer. And he thought, I'm getting Optimus. I'm getting Optimus. And she came back. That was this GoBot like thing, and it was so like, if you ever seen any of those like cheap ones that that are gonna come out like in McDonald's size, it was very much like that. They're probably better than I'm actually imagining them right now. But the look on his face, it was priceless for me, because I didn't get a lot of this stuff when I was a kid. My grandparents were pretty much like into the clothes and stuff like that, but my mom would like, and my dad would like get me toys and that. But they were never big on action figures. So I actually had to get those myself most of the times. But that was such an hilarious thing. Uh, that look on his face, and especially since I knew that he had the one toy that I've always wanted and never been able to find and never been able to get, the Bionic Man with the eye, the zoom eye lens. Yeah. So, ha. I was not mean. I was very sensitive to his needs. No, I was not. I laughed my ass off. I'm like, come on, Optimus Prime. Super Friends. If you grew up in my time, you could not have missed the Super Friends. Bless you.
Thanks.
It came on forever. This was the original series, actually. This is with Wendy and Marvin. They would later be replaced by, the Wonder Twins. I actually liked Wendy and Marvin. They gave a kind of a different aspect to it, and they were more relatable as a kid than the Wonder Twins. I was never thinking, I'm just like that kid in the purple spandex outfit. Bless you.
Thank you.
I'm just like that kid in the purple spandex outfit. That's totally me. No, Geeky Marvin, maybe totally me, but I was never exact. What was the Wonder Twins' names again? I can't remember right now.
Huh?
The Wonder Twins. What were their names again?
I have no idea.
But speaking of the Wonder Twins, they're in. Bless you. This is the sneeze edition of my video. This one here, Challenge of the Super Friends. Challenge of the Super Friends series is actually probably best known because this is the series that had the most villains, like super villains on it. A lot of the Super Friends shows, they fought like people like Dracula and space aliens and stuff like that. Yes? I was waiting for it. Did I ruin it?
Yes, you
I'm
did.
so sorry. I ruined her sneeze. But I really loved the Super Friends. Challenge of Super Friends was a really great one. The only character I can think of that came out into more of the other ones was like Mixit-Pitlick. But to get all of them on here, this is when they really started doing that for the first time. They were in the later series. Bless you. See, I so knew that sneeze was coming. I was trying to be casual, and I was trying not to look over because the last time I did, she was like, "You bastard!" That sneeze almost came out. It would have been so satisfying. And so she's thinking right now, I sneezed. It was not as good a sneeze as that sneeze that I missed.
Shut up.
The sneeze that I missed would have been completely way more satisfying. When you think about ones that lasted, ones that I think are fantastic, ones that I love so much, and it's Robotech. There's been so many pretenders to the throne of anime, but for me, as much as I love the stuff, I love Attack on Titan, I love all the new stuff that's out now. Robotech was the series. It was the anime series. It had the mechs. It did it so much better than other ones. Even ones I don't know, like Mazinger and stuff like that. It was even better than Grandizer. It was better than Grandizer. That's like that's Heretic, where it's her. She's a Grandizer fanatic, and they're so expensive. They get anything Grandizer. It costs a fortune. She's got like a 12-inch Grandizer, and that was like expensive as hell. I think her sister actually got her that one because we went to like a convention, and there's Grandizers there. It was like over $100, $150 to get Grandizer. Robotech. Love this series, and it's one that shocks you because you're watching this and you're a kid, and you're like, and all of a sudden,
For me, it was Macross. That's what it was called.
Macross. Well, it is a
Macross
Macross
Saga.
Saga. Yeah, the first one anyway. With Rick Hunter. Rick Hunter was such a cool character, and Ray Fokker. That's his name. I'm not making that up. He. What happens with him is shocking. It really is shocking when you're a kid, and all of a sudden you're watching it, and one of the main characters, just dies. He's killed. There's no coming back. There's no resurrection. There's no magical thing that brings him back at the end of the episode, or he doesn't come back 3 or 4 episodes later, or he's not cloned or anything like that. No, the character dies. He stays there. That is it. Goodbye. He's pushing up the daisies. He's not coming back. And it was an early experience for like actually dealing with death, like on that type of level. Was actually watching Robotech.
Well, welcome to the world of anime.
Yeah.
I was very, very young when I was exposed to
To the death in anime. Oh, look, everybody dies now. But
Well, anime, all the time, even the old ones. People die all the time.
not an Astro Boy though.
Well, that's a different. Astro Boy is not considered just like the other animes.
Astro Boys. Yeah, that's because Astro Boy is awesome. Flying high in the stars. This guy, he may be small but only in size. Astro Boy. Astro Boy. I love Astro Boy. I don't know that one either because the actually original Astro Boy show they used to watch, that's hard as hell to find. You can find the 2000s one, but the other one, there's 2 boxes. They almost look exactly the same. One's the 80s series and one's the 2000 series. So it's hard to find. But this show I did watch, and actually I'm leaving this one because it goes in with another one I got. But G.I. Joe, the real American hero. Love this. Love G.I. Joe. You know, it actually had a wrestler be a cartoon character in this, Sergeant Slaughter, which was really cool. But my favorite was Snake Eyes, Storm Shadow. Those were the guys that I used to kind of like a lot. You know, there was Duke and all those guys on here, but I kind of like the cool, like, silent guys. If you didn't watch G.I. Joe as a kid, you missed out because it's really, really good. So much better than the movies. I know I do have fun with the movies. You know, they are what they are. I did like the second one more than the first one. As far as the live action movies go, the second one was much better, although they killed off a crap load of people right at the beginning of the movie. This is really fun. And those public service announcements, the same as the ones on Transformers, it's just fantastic. I think G.I. Joe did them just a little better. Now, the last 2 are probably 2 that, one, they came on pretty much back to back. 2, the influenced and sculpted my childhood in ways that I wouldn't even think about 2 years down the road. And 3, they were the hardest of the sets that I had to find. 1, I lucked into it, literally lucked into it, walking up the street in Ottawa on Maryville Road. I went into like this pawn shop and saw it there, and I was just blown away and had to grab it. And that was Rocket Robin Hood. I think it's the second volume. Rocket Robin Hood was like a series of very short cartoons, and it was done by Ralph Bakshi, who did another series that we're going to talk about actually right now in a minute. And basically, it was kind of a science fiction version of Robin Hood. You had the Sheriff of Nottingham. They were very short cartoons. I think they ran maybe 5-10 minutes at max for the Rocket Robin Hood cartoons. Did you watch these?
12 minutes, I think.
Yeah, there's like really short, and some of them would be continued. It would be Rocket Robin Hood and his merry men. The animation was very limited. A lot of science fiction animation, but that being said, the animation would be used again in another series. It would be really reused again in another series. The greatest cartoon series that I ever watched when I was a kid, the one that influenced me, that I watched more than anything else, watched it as a kid, watched it when I was in high school, watched it when I was in college, watched it so many times. And I looked for this thing for ages. And I got a surprise one day when she found it for me and surprised me with it. And it was just a moment of utter bliss. It is Spider-Man, 67 collection. This was the cartoon. All 52 episodes are here. You can't get this anymore because, well, I think the rights to it are well, Marvel is owned by Disney. Spider-Man is owned by Sony. This cartoon series is not coming out anytime soon. That's probably the reason you haven't seen the 90s cartoon series really come out. Because, well, rights issues. But this is one that Disney put this on, I think, early on. Oh, no, they had something to do with it. Yeah, Buena Vista Home Entertainment. This is actually Disney. Disney actually limited released this one here, so that's why this one's hard to find. It did it so well. A lot of people think, well, it's kind of cheesy and corny now, but it actually was really, especially the first season, was really, really faithful to what the comics were like at that time period, and it was fun. The voice acting was so good. Paul Soles is a Canadian actor, and if you watch the second Incredible Hulk movie, the guy behind that owned the kind of the cafe shop, the place where he's at, that's Paul Soles. He's the voice of Spider-Man. This was pretty much like voiced by I think almost an entire Canadian cast, and they did a great job. Canada had been big with a lot of the radio stuff, and if you go out and you actually look for a lot of the Canadian actors that are out there, you'll find that voice-wise, Canada is really good with that type of thing. We had a lot of really strong voice. Of course William Shatner is Canadian. He's got that unique voice, and Lauren Green from Battlestar Galactica and Bonanza. He's Canadian. He's a Canadian actor, and he's got that booming voice. Lauren Green was actually one of those correspondents during the war. He was like the voice of the war. But Paul Soles was just an amazing actor. He did fantastic voice work on it. And Spider-Man, the collection, it was just fantastic. You got Doc Ock, Green Goblin, Mysterio, the Rhino, Dr. Magneto. Okay, I don't know who Dr. Magneto is, but apparently he's somebody in here. I remember this wax one where basically there's this guy and he makes wax figures come to life. I thought it was really cool when there's throwing wax balls at Spider-Man.
Excuse me.
And if you watch this, all the Spider-Man swinging animations because they would happen up over and over again. You would see Spider-Man swinging, and he would go and he would kind of perch on this thing, and he would swing, and you'd be wondering things like, as a kid, you wouldn't wonder it too much, but every once in a while, you'd be like, if he's at the top of those buildings, if he's swinging over the top of those buildings, where are those webs latching onto? The things that I thought as a kid, anyway. I love the fact that you got this kind of this pixelized thing to make it kind of give it an old school look to it, kind of old comic bookish look. Now in the second and third season, the budget that they had was slashed, so they would actually use some non-comic booky type of things, but it would actually open it up to some more inventiveness to use some different things. I remember there's one where he kind of fights these kind of space alien type creatures, and so all turns out to be kind of almost like a dream type thing, or is it? But the thing is that for a couple of those, they were actually using Rocket Robin Hood animation. So there's a lot of scenes from it, that you see of the kind of the alien worlds and stuff like that. That's actually scenes from early Rocket Robin Hood episodes, and it was just so well done. There's so many that I remember here. The Scorpion episode. I was getting to see the Green Goblin for the first time. I remember being so stoked about that. I remember there's one was called the Human Fly, and Spider-Man was couldn't get them because basically they were actually twins. They were two, and they wore the exact same outfit, this kind of Human Fly outfit. They were kind of like a circus group, a gang that were stealing stuff. Electro was a favorite of mine. I could talk about Spider-Man, the original series, and I was not around in '67. Trust me on that one. But I get to see it years later, and it was one of those shows. I guess maybe it was cheap for them to get because they showed it on CBC, they showed it on NTV. Every channel would literally show this at some point or another. It was one of those cartoons that everybody grew up with. I mean, my son grew up with it. My daughter got to see it when she was young. I think every generation has actually had this. Did you have this over in your way?
Yes.
Yeah, and it was one of those that you can instantly fall in love with. It had kind of a jazzy score, and that was the thing. Ralph Bakshi was actually a really well-respected director of animated films. This is a guy that did Fritz the Cat. He did like so many good movies. Was it American Pop? Is that the name of it? One that ends with night moves. Such a good movie. He did Wizards. He did just so many fantastic things, and this was like different. He actually came out there and said, "Okay, I'm going to do these animated shows," and he did it so well. I loved the Spider-Man series so much, and it's the only Spider-Man series. I mean, like I think in the UK they got the other Spider-Man shows, which I got to get down the road. I remember growing up and watching Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends. They had like Firestar, and Iceman, right? And they all lived together for some reason. That was that was a thing, I guess, and that was fun. That was a really fun show. But this is my show. This is a show that was so influential to me that when Spider-Man, the original first movie by Sam Raimi, came out, my son was a huge Spider-Man fan. So I wanted to win him this huge, like kind of like a life-size thing of Spider-Man. So I got on this Talk TV. It was a channel at the time, and sang the Spider-Man themes on in front of live television just to win them that. And I did, and actually they were so cool about it because I was one of the regular callers. I would call in a lot. That when the channel was closing down, they had like all this extra stuff, like promotional stuff that they had, like toys and that, like from Star Wars and all that. And he sent like a bunch of it to my son. He was like maybe 5 at the time, and he was so blown away by that. They like get all these things, and I think there was like a Venom thing, and there was like a bunch of like Star Wars toys. It was really cool of them, by the way. But there we go. My cartoons from my childhood. There's so many that I want. I gotta do a cartoon list of ones that I don't have that I actually want, that I'm drooling over. Spider-Man, 1967. That tops them off for me. But just so many great cartoons. What's your favorite cartoons? I would love to see a video response to this one here. So I'm going to do this one and turn it into a tag video right now, right here on the spot. So Falagar 517, Sammy, what are your favorite cartoons? What ones do you have in your collection that you really love? The cartoon series that you like? Parsnip, Burger, I'd love to hear from you. And one person that I'm sure would do an awesome video for this one here? Yeah, Robert Harding. I'm sure that you've got a bunch of cartoon shows in your collection that you would be dying to show off, because I know you got that platinum edition of Looney Tunes that I'm so jealous of. That really cool one with that really cool stuff in it. I want to tag everybody, but I can't. So I'm going to leave that to 3 people. And no, one more, because this is one person I keep meaning to tag, and I never get to tag him because I like tag so many people, and then I'm like, okay, I'll tag him on the next video. Well, John Steele, here it is. Your cartoon shows that you watch when you're young. And ones that from now, not your college cartoon shows. Remember, these are the cartoon shows you watched in high school, you watched in elementary school, stuff that you really loved. Let me know. So you guys have been tagged. For me right now, I got tea over there. It's getting cold. It's been 58 minutes. It must be ice cold by now. Say hello to the great Pin Lord in the sky, his friend the Phantom, and my sneezing better half over there who just sneezing like crazy. For me right now, it is time for tea, and I got to put back all these cartoon box sets. So that's going to be quite the acrobatic feat, since some of them are up a ways. And if you haven't watched any of these, well, go back, watch one of those cartoon shows that you watched when you were a kid. One of the next videos I'm thinking of doing are actually some of the TV shows that I watched as a youth. So you can bet you're going to see some Linda Carter in that one. Thanks for watching, guys. Have a great night. For me, it's time for tea, and I was thinking of a stinger, but I really don't have one. So awkward silence ending for my video.
Say it's time for your tea.
I don't know. I like this kind of awkward silence ending for my video. It's time for tea. Have a great night, guys.